but I'm about to drop a bombshell on you. Imagine you have a coin from 1968. Sounds ordinary, right? Well, spoiler alert, it's anything but ordinary. If you've got a 1968 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, you could be sitting on a potential $1.60 million. Yep, you heard that right. A penny worth over $1 million. But how is this even possible? Stick around, because we're diving into the world of rare coins, crazy values, and I might just throw in a little personal story to make this even more fun. Let's get into it. Alright, let's start with the basics. We've all seen pennies. I mean, who hasn't picked one up off the sidewalk or tossed them into a jar? But let's rewind to 1968, a year full of major historical events. And while the world was busy making history, the US Mint was busy cranking out pennies like it was business as usual. The D Mint mark. See, that tiny D is the distinguishing feature you want to look for. The D stands for the Denver Mint, and in 1968, there was a rare batch of pennies that didn't get the proper copper coating, kind of like a mistake, but a beautiful mistake. These are the ones that have the potential to be worth huge money. When you hold one of these in your hand, it's like you're holding a piece of history, a very, very expensive piece of history. But what makes these pennies so valuable? Here's where it gets interesting. In 1968, some of these coins didn't get the right treatment during production. Essentially, they were struck on a planchet, fancy word for coin blank, meant for a different type of coin. These pennies were supposed to be copper-plated steel, but some of them escaped with a copper coating that was thinner than it should have been. So, it became a mint error coin, and as we know, mint errors are like gold, or should I say copper, in the coin collecting world. You won't find this kind of coin in every batch of 1968 pennies. It's rare. So rare, in fact, that in the current market, one of these coins can fetch anywhere from a few thousand to, wait for it, up to a mind-blowing $1.6 million. How insane is that? Now, before you go raiding your piggy bank or rooting through your change jar, let's get real for a second. Not every 1968 D penny will be worth a fortune. The condition of the coin matters big time. It needs to be in good shape, ideally uncirculated, and even then, you'll need the right buyer who's looking for that specific mint error. I know. You're probably thinking, but I've got a jar full of pennies, and I swear I've seen a 1968 D in there. Well, don't get too excited just yet. A worn-down penny isn't going to make you a millionaire. We're talking about pristine, almost perfect coins here. If you think you've got one, you'll want to get it graded by a reputable service. They'll give you a more accurate idea of its value. Just because it's rare doesn't mean it's automatically valuable. Coin collectors can be pretty particular. But hey, don't get discouraged. Even if your 1968 D penny isn't worth $1 million, it could still have some value. There are plenty of rare coins out there that can fetch a pretty penny, pun intended. Speaking of finding rare coins, let me tell you a funny story. I was at a yard sale a few years ago, just doing my usual scavenging for old records and random knickknacks. And then I saw it. A jar of coins sitting in the corner. The guy selling it said, "Oh, these are just some loose change I've had forever. Make me an offer." Now, I'm no expert, but something about that jar just felt lucky. So I threw out a number that seemed reasonable, like $5 or so. The guy agreed. I got home, poured out the jar, and started sorting through it. Mostly just nickels, dimes, and quarters, until I spotted a 1968 penny with a D mint mark. I kid you not, I felt like I had found a treasure chest. But, spoiler alert, it wasn't one of the rare mint error pennies. Still, I was hooked. And that little penny sparked my deeper dive into the world of rare coins. You never know what you might find if you're paying attention. So, while you might not strike it rich with your pocket change, you've got to admit, the idea that a single penny could be worth over $1 million is pretty wild, right? I mean, imagine walking around with a $1.6 million penny in your pocket. That's not just any penny, that's a legendary penny. But whether your coins are worth millions or just a few bucks, the world of coin collecting is full of surprises. And trust me, you don't want to miss out on learning more about it. If you want more tips on rare coins, collecting strategies, and maybe even a little more coin-based humor, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You never know when you'll find your own mint error or hidden gem. Keep hunting, keep learning, and let's keep this coin collecting adventure rolling. You're digging through a pile of change, looking for that one lucky penny, and bam, you find a coin that could make you $1.70 million richer. Sounds too good to be true, right? But hold on to your hats because this isn't just a fantasy. In fact, there's one particular penny that's worth a whole lot more than what you'd expect. In today's video, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 2006 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. So stick around, because you might just be holding onto a small treasure worth a fortune. A penny? Worth $1 million. It sounds crazy, doesn't it? After all, pennies are those tiny little copper coins that barely get a second glance. We toss them in jars, lose them down the couch cushions, and honestly, we barely notice them. I get it, I've been there. But here's the deal. If you've got a 2006 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, you could be sitting on a gold mine. So what makes this penny so special? To put it simply, it's a mistake. And we all know that mistakes can sometimes be worth big money, right? The US Mint, which is responsible for producing coins, stamps, and other collectibles, typically marks each coin with a mint mark to indicate where it was made. For example, you'll usually see a D for Denver or a S for San Francisco. But in 2006, a small number of Lincoln pennies were produced without any mint mark at all. These pennies were meant to have a mint mark, but somehow slipped through the cracks. They were released into circulation, and if you're lucky enough to find one, congratulations. You've got a rare piece of American coin history. Why does this 2006 no mint mark penny go for such a jaw-dropping price? Only a small number of these pennies were made, and even fewer have survived in good condition. Collectors and investors are always on the hunt for rare coins. And when something as unexpected as a no-mint mark penny pops up, well, the demand skyrockets. It's the perfect storm of rarity and desirability. Not every 2006 penny without a mint mark is worth millions. The ones that fetch crazy prices are typically in mint condition, meaning they've been well preserved over the years. We're talking about a coin that looks almost brand new, with sharp details and no wear and tear. So, if your penny is looking a little worse for wear, it's probably not going to be worth a fortune. But hey, it's still a cool find. Alright, let me take you back to a time when I was going through my own penny jar, because, let's face it, we all have one. It's that jar where we throw spare change, and every now and then, we hope for a miracle. So, there I am, digging through my old coins like some sort of treasure hunter when I found a penny. It wasn't a 2006 no-mint mark, but it was a 1964 Kennedy half-dollar, which I thought was pretty cool, until I realized it wasn't as rare as I'd hoped. I was convinced I'd struck gold. But no, it was just another day in the life of an amateur coin collector. That moment of excitement is exactly why you want to keep an eye out for rare coins. Sure, I didn't hit the jackpot with that Kennedy half-dollar, but you never know when your next find will be worth a fortune. And that's the beauty of coin collecting, the thrill of the hunt. Now that you're excited, how do you spot one of these elusive pennies? It's actually pretty simple. The 2006 Lincoln penny was supposed to have a mint mark, but if you look closely at the reverse, that's the side with the Lincoln Memorial, you'll see that there's no mint mark present. No D or S means you've got something worth investigating. If you've got a 2006 penny, take a moment to check it over. Make sure the details are sharp, and if you've got one that looks like it just came out of the mint, you might want to take it to a professional for grading. The better the condition, the more valuable it could be. So, let's talk dollars and cents. How much is this penny worth? The current market value for a well-preserved 2006 no-mint mark penny can range anywhere from a couple $100 to a mind-blowing $1.7 million. Yes, you heard that right. $1.7 million. Now, before you get too excited, remember that most of these pennies won't reach that insane price, but a few have sold for impressive sums. It's important to get your coin graded by a professional, as the condition is key in determining its true value. But still, even a few $100s for a penny you found in your change jar? That's a pretty sweet deal. So, there you have it, folks. The 2006 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. It may look like just another penny, but if you're lucky enough to find one, it could change your life. It's a perfect example of why you should never overlook the small stuff, whether it's a coin, a collectible, or even that random old baseball card in the attic. The value of something rare can be hard to predict, but you'll never know until you start looking. Before we wrap up, if you enjoyed learning about this super rare penny, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more tips and tricks on finding hidden gems in your coin collection. Trust me, there's more where that came from, and I've got plenty of advice for turning your pocket change into something worth holding on to. So, go ahead, check your change jar, look through your wallet, and start searching for those rare finds. Who knows? Your next coin could be worth millions. Catch you next time, and remember to keep looking. You never know what treasure might be hiding in plain sight. Don't forget to subscribe, drop a comment below with any rare finds you've come across, and share this video with your friends. Who knows? They might have a coin worth a fortune lying around, too. Have you ever found a penny lying around and thought, could this be worth something? Well, today, I'm going to show you one particular penny that could turn your pocket change into a small fortune. No kidding. Picture this, a 1967 penny with no mint mark, potentially worth up to $1.80 million. Yes, you heard that right. A penny, as in the coin that everyone ignores, could make you a millionaire. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll be checking your pocket change like you're hunting for treasure. And hey, if you happen to find one of these pennies, you might just end up on the phone with your bank, laughing all the way to the vault. Alright, let's dive into this fascinating little piece of history. First off, the 1967 no mint mark penny. You're probably thinking, 1967? That's way before my time. Well, that's true for a lot of us. But this penny, or more accurately, this mistake of a penny, is a huge deal in the world of numismatics, the fancy term for coin collecting. Every year, the US Mint produces billions of coins. Normally, each penny has a mint mark on it, which tells us where it was produced: Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. But in 1967, there was an unusual error. A few pennies were struck in Philadelphia, without a mint mark, and these mint markless pennies have become highly coveted collector's items. Now, you might be thinking, okay, cool story, but why is this penny worth $1.8 million? Great question, and I'm glad you asked. You see, when you have a coin that's over 50 years old, even the smallest mistakes, like missing a mint mark, can make it incredibly rare and valuable. In fact, not many of these 1967 no mint mark pennies are still in circulation today, which makes them a rare find. But before you start pulling out every penny from your jar, let me explain a little more about the market value. While most of us will never find one of these in our spare change, the 1967 no mint mark penny is a prized possession for collectors. You see, the value doesn't come from just the year or the missing mint mark. It comes from how many survive in near-perfect condition. Unlike the ones that have been sitting in jars, rubbed by years of use, if you happen to stumble upon one of these coins in mint condition, we're talking about a gem quality specimen, folks, you could be looking at a price tag of around $1.8 million at auction. That's enough to make anyone want to dust off their change jar and start searching, right? Now, let's talk about how to identify this penny. It's actually pretty simple. You're looking for a 1967 penny with no mint mark under Abraham Lincoln's shoulder. It sounds easy, but trust me, not every penny from 1967 is going to be worth that much. You need one in pristine condition, so if you find one, take good care of it. A couple of years ago, I was at a coin show chatting with a seasoned collector. He was telling me about this time he found a 1967 penny with no mint mark at a garage sale for $1. I mean, it wasn't in perfect condition, but still, it was the kind of story you want to hear. The seller had no clue about its value, and the collector nearly fainted when he heard the price. You might want to start checking your loose change, because you never know what hidden gems are sitting in your pocket or jar right now. A simple 1967 penny could be worth millions, if it's the right one, of course. But here's the kicker. If you want to stay up to date on all the latest tips, tricks, and coin values, you need to hit that subscribe button right now. I post videos like this all the time, helping you discover coins worth big bucks and strategies for building your own coin collection. I'm always on the lookout for the next hidden treasure, and you should be too. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Who knows? They might be sitting on a fortune and just don't know it yet. Do you have a penny sitting around that could be worth a fortune? I'm not talking about that old penny you found in the couch cushions or the one you dropped in the parking lot last week. No, no. We're talking about a rare gem. A 1982 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Yes, you heard me right. a penny worth $1.90 million. Stick around, because today, we're diving into why that little copper coin could be the most valuable thing in your piggy bank. A penny? $1 million penny? Nah, this guy's pulling my leg. But trust me, I'm not kidding. This is real, and today I'll tell you how it happened, what to look for, and how this coin turned a regular day into a jackpot. But before we get into the whole, how to turn your spare change into millions thing, let me tell you about a time I found something in my change that I thought was worth a fortune. Turns out, it was just a really beat-up nickel. Don't get me wrong, I still held on to it because, hey, it was from the 60s, and that's gotta count for something, right? Anyway, stick with me, and let's find out if you have $1 million penny lurking around in your collection, or if you're just hoarding old nickels like me. Let's start with the basics. The 1982 Lincoln penny. It's a pretty ordinary coin, right? We've all seen it. Most of us have probably found a bunch of them just kicking around in our change jars or under the couch. But here's the kicker. Most of the 1982 pennies have a mint mark, either in D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But the rare ones? They don't have any mint mark at all. Nada. Zilch. Nothing. Now, why is that such a big deal? Well, in 1982, the U.S. Mint accidentally made a small batch of pennies without mint marks. And it was a pretty big screw-up. These coins were supposed to have a D or S to show where they were made, but a few slipped through the cracks without any indication at all. Whoops. Why are these no mint mark pennies worth so much? Well, it's all about rarity. The fact that there were only a small handful of these missing mint marks means they're super rare. And as any collector knows, rare equals valuable. In fact, one of these 1982 no mint mark pennies recently sold for a whopping $1.9 million at auction. That's right, million with an M. Okay, so now you're probably running to your change jar, looking through all your pennies to see if you've struck gold. I get it. I would be too. But don't get too excited just yet. You're probably going to need a magnifying glass, because that mint mark, or lack of it, can be pretty tricky to spot. You're looking for a 1982 penny. This is the year the mistake happened. On the back of the coin, you'll find the words E pluribus unum, along with the phrase United States of America. If there's no mint mark, nothing under the word liberty, you're looking at a potential gold mine. The coin should be in decent shape, not too worn down. If it's been through a metal detector or has been hanging around for decades, it's not going to bring in the big bucks. If you find one of these bad boys, don't just jump to conclusions. Get it verified by a professional coin grader or a certified numismatic expert. You want to be sure it's legit and not just an ordinary, scratched-up penny. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so I've got a 1982 penny, but how do I know if it's worth the big bucks? Here's the truth. Most of these no mint mark pennies aren't worth $1.9 million. Sorry to burst your bubble, but if it's a rare one in great condition, it could still fetch a decent price. Let me tell you a quick story to show you just how tricky the world of rare coins can be. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my dad's old change jar. Yeah, it was full of coins from the 70s, because apparently, he thought he was saving up for something, but who knows what. I found a penny that was all shiny and looked super fresh. I thought, this is it. This has to be the one. I've just found a mint condition 1982 penny worth millions. Long story short, it turned out to be just a regular penny. No mint mark. Nothing special. But hey, it was fun to dream for a bit. Moral of the story? Always double check and don't get too attached to the idea of being a millionaire overnight. So, now you know what to look for. 1982 Lincoln pennies with no mint mark are incredibly rare, and if you find one, it could be worth a small fortune. Of course, most of us won't be that lucky, but hey, you never know. It's worth keeping an eye on your pocket change, and who knows? Your next lucky find could be a coin worth thousands or even millions. Before I let you go, if you're enjoying this whole coin hunting journey, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got tons of tips on coins worth money, strategies for building your collection, and plenty of stories from my own coin searching misadventures. So don't miss out. Join the community, and let's see if we can turn some of your spare change into treasure. Thanks for watching and happy hunting. Alright, folks, have you ever heard of a penny that's worth more than your car? No, I'm not talking about finding a rare gold nugget in your couch cushions. I'm talking about the 1970 D. Lincoln penny, and get this, It's worth up to $2 million. I know, you're probably thinking, no way, a penny? But trust me, stick with me for the next 40 minutes, and I'll explain exactly how this little copper coin could potentially make you a millionaire. Alright, so let's break it down. We all know pennies, right? They're the coins we mostly ignore, toss in a jar, or use to scrape gum off our shoes. But not this one. The 1970 D. Lincoln penny was minted in Denver, and while it's usually just a regular penny that we barely think about, there's a super rare version out there that is worth, well, let's just say, a tiny bit more than a penny. See this? This is your everyday 1970 D penny. Looks pretty innocent, right? But in the world of coin collecting, this is the equivalent of finding a needle in a haystack, except it's a shiny needle that can make you some serious cash. So why, out of all the coins in the world, is this one worth a fortune? Well, in 1970, something strange happened during the minting process. Some of these pennies were struck with a double die error. Now, I know what you're thinking, double die? That sounds like a typo. But trust me, it's the real deal. This means that the design on the penny was accidentally doubled, which makes it a rare, hard-to-find collectible. And guess what? The market for error coins like these has absolutely exploded. If you've got one of these in your pocket, you could be holding on to a small fortune. So, how do you tell if you've got the $1 million one? Look closely at the date and lettering. On a 1970 D penny with the double die error, you'll notice the doubling effect, most notably in the date, the words Liberty and In God We Trust. You might also notice the lettering looks like it's almost been stamped twice. It's kind of like if someone tried to write their signature twice in the same spot, but with a little more historical significance. Now, here's the part that'll make you do a double take. A regular 1970 D penny might be worth, what, a couple of cents? Maybe a few bucks if it's in perfect condition. But if you've got one with that double die error, you're sitting on a coin that could fetch up to $2 million. That's right, I said 2 million. I mean, if someone told me I could turn a penny into 2 million bucks, I'd probably start going through every coin jar in my house. Wouldn't you? Let me tell you about a time when I found a coin I thought was just junk. I was at a yard sale. Yeah, the classic old guy selling his stuff for pennies on the dollar. There was this dusty old jar of coins, and the guy was like, "You want 'em all for $5?" I looked in there, saw a few random pennies, and thought, meh, not worth much. But then I spotted something shiny. It wasn't a 1970 D double die penny, but it was a decent-looking 1943 steel penny. I bought it, and it turned out to be worth quite a bit more than I thought. Moral of the story? You just never know when you're going to come across something that's more valuable than you think. Now, if you think you might have this rare coin, don't go running to a pawn shop just yet. First, you want to make sure it's authentic. A lot of people try to sell fakes or misidentified coins, so get it checked by a professional. And by professional, I mean someone who actually knows their stuff, not just the guy down the street with a magnifying glass. You can take it to a coin dealer, even send it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC for authentication. These guys will examine the coin and tell you whether it's the real deal. And if it is, well, my friend, you could be holding on to a small fortune. So, take care of your pennies, and you might just find a gold mine. Let's be real, not every penny you find is gonna be worth 2 million bucks. But if you're looking to get into coin collecting and make some smart investments, here's a tip from me. Always pay attention to the details. Mint marks, dates, and errors are key. And remember, condition is everything. A well-preserved coin is going to be worth more than one that's been rattling around in your pocket for 30 years. So, there you have it, folks. The 1970 D. Lincoln penny with a double die error could be worth up to $2 million, and maybe you've got one hiding in your collection right now. Who knows? But whether you're in it for the hunt or just because you enjoy finding cool coins, remember to always check your change and stay informed. And hey, if you want more tips, tricks, and strategies for finding valuable coins like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I've got plenty more stories, tips, and coin-related fun coming your way. So hit that subscribe button and join me on this coin collecting adventure. Thanks for watching, and remember, every penny counts, but some pennies count a lot more than others. You know those pennies you find stuck between the couch cushions or at the bottom of your change jar? Well, what if I told you one of those pennies could be worth, wait for it, $2.1 million? Yup, you heard that right, 2.1 million bucks. I'm not talking about a rare gold penny or some crazy 1800s relic. We're talking about a 1968 S Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Stick around to find out why this seemingly regular penny is now worth a small fortune, and how you can keep your eyes peeled for some serious cash hidden in plain sight. So let's break this down. It's a penny, 1 cent. That little copper disc that spends more time in your pocket than anywhere else. But this 1968 S Mint Mark penny? It's not just any penny. It's a coin that's currently selling for millions in the market. Now, I know what you're thinking, yeah, right, just another YouTube clickbait story, but stick with me. First off, let's talk about the mint mark. We're talking S here. S stands for San Francisco, the mint that struck this penny. And here's where it gets interesting. In 1968, they made a ton of regular pennies, but only a very small portion had the S mint mark. The majority were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, with no mint mark at all. That means these mint-marked pennies are much rarer than you might think. And rarity equals value. These pennies didn't start out as rare collectibles. In fact, they were practically junk for a while. It wasn't until decades later when collectors started noticing some big mistakes in the way these coins were struck. Some of the 1968 S pennies were mistakenly minted with a double die error, a fancy way of saying that the design was stamped twice, making the features blurry and messy. Now, most of us would just look at a blurry penny and toss it back into the jar, right? But here's the thing. These mistakes made the coins extra special. People started collecting these error pennies, and that's when the value began to climb. And here's where it gets wild. In 2018, a 1968 S double die penny sold for a jaw-dropping $2.1 million. Let that sink in. $2.1 million for a penny. This is the stuff of coin collector legend, and it's not even a rare, ancient gold coin. It's a freaking penny that might still be sitting in your spare change drawer. But before you start pulling out every 1968 penny in your wallet and sending them off to the coin experts, hold up. The key here is condition. The $2.1 million penny was in pristine condition. We're talking about sharp details, no wear and tear, and of course, that double die error that's the real moneymaker. Most of the 1968 S pennies you'll find are not in mint condition. But hey, don't throw them away just yet. If you find a 1968 S penny that's still in good shape and has that double die error, you could be holding on to something that could fetch way more than its face value. Some are selling for hundreds, even thousands of dollars, depending on the condition. So, it's worth checking out those old pennies you find in your jar. And I know, who even keeps pennies anymore, right? Trust me, I get it. Just last month, I was cleaning out my old desk and I found a bunch of loose change in a drawer. Mostly pennies, some nickels, a couple of dimes, and I almost just tossed it all into the piggy bank. But then I remembered this story, and sure enough, one of those pennies turned out to be a 1972 double die. Not worth $2 million, but hey, it's worth something. Don't sleep on your pennies. Keep an eye out for that 1968 S with the double die error. You might just have a small fortune in your hands without even knowing it. And remember, coins can be an incredible investment if you know what to look for. And speaking of knowing what to look for, if you want more tips on how to spot coins that are worth big money, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell, and join the coin collecting community. I'm here to give you all the insider knowledge, with a little humor sprinkled in to keep it fun. Who knows? The next time you pull out some loose change, it might just be your ticket to $1 million payday. You might want to grab that jar right now, because today, we're talking about a penny that could be worth millions. Yes, millions. Imagine digging through that jar of loose change, finding a coin, and boom, your life is changed forever. Sounds like something out of a treasure hunting adventure movie, right? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving deep into the 2002 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. And yes, you read that right. This seemingly ordinary penny can fetch a jaw-dropping $2.2 million. But before you start sifting through every penny you own, let's break it down. What makes this coin so special, and why is it worth that insane amount of money? Okay, First things first, the 2002 no mint mark penny isn't something you're going to find every day. In fact, it's one of those rare mistakes that happens in coin production. See, normally, every US coin is stamped with a mint mark to show where it was made. You've got the D for Denver, the S for San Francisco, and of course, the classic P for Philadelphia. But in 2002, a very small number of pennies left the Philadelphia Mint without any mint mark at all. That's right, no P, no nothing, just a clean, unmarked penny. Now, you might be wondering, why would that make it so valuable? It's because errors like this are rare. And as we all know, rare things tend to get more attention, more interest, and of course, more value. Think of it like finding a needle in a haystack. It's an incredible discovery, and that's why collectors will pay top dollar for these little treasures. But wait, there's more. The 2002 no mint mark penny isn't just a rare error. It's a highly coveted error. Why? Well, think about it. Pennies are the least flashy coins out there. They get tossed into jars, forgotten about in couches, and are generally regarded as the least glamorous of all US coins. But when you find a coin that's an anomaly in a world of otherwise boring pennies, people take notice. And the collectors who are serious about their coin collections really take notice. Now, you might be thinking, how do I even know if I have one of these rare pennies? Great question. These no mint mark pennies are pretty tricky to spot. The mistake was minor. No huge difference in design or anything. It's just the lack of that mint mark that sets it apart. But here's a little tip. If you have a 2002 penny that's missing the mint mark, congratulations, you may just have a treasure on your hands. It's important to get your penny properly authenticated before getting too excited. There are a lot of counterfeit coins out there, and you don't want to get caught holding a fake when you could be holding the real deal. So, make sure to take it to a professional to get it appraised and graded. And who knows? Your little copper friend might just be worth a boatload of cash. Let me tell you a little story of how I nearly found myself sitting on a fortune. I was cleaning out my old desk drawer, the place where random stuff gets tossed and forgotten about. I pulled out a bunch of old coins that I thought were just junk. Pennies, nickels, and dimes. But then, I found one that seemed a little different. It was a 2002 penny, but there was no mint marked. I didn't think much of it at the time, because honestly, I thought, who would care about a penny? But after doing a little research, I realized I could have had a rare coin worth hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars. Now, before you get too excited, let me clarify. I didn't have the 2002 no mint mark penny that's worth $2.2 million. But I'm sure you can imagine how that moment made my heart race for a second. Moral of the story: always double-check your coins. If you have a 2002 penny lying around with no mint mark, it might just be worth far more than face value. We're talking big money here, potentially up to $2.2 million for the lucky few. Of course, you should get it professionally graded and authenticated before you start dreaming about what you'll do with your newfound fortune. Now, I know, it's not every day that you stumble across a $2 million penny, but that doesn't mean you should stop looking. There are plenty of other valuable coins out there just waiting to be found, and I'll be here to guide you every step of the way. If you're interested in finding more hidden treasures like this one, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on all my tips, tricks, and strategies for discovering valuable coins. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, I've got plenty of info to help you turn your coin collection into a gold mine. Thanks for watching, and remember, always check your change. You might just be holding on to $1 million treasure. We're diving into something seriously mind-blowing. You're probably used to seeing a penny in your pocket, right? Those little copper coins that we sometimes toss into the bottom of our drawers without a second thought. But did you know there's one penny, just one, that could be worth more than a shiny new sports car? I'm talking about the 1964 D mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Now, hold on to your hats, because this little coin could be worth, get this, $2.3 million. Yes, you heard that right. A coin that fits in your pocket could end up paying for your dream vacation, or maybe even retire you early. Now, you're probably thinking, wait, how can a penny be worth millions? Did I miss the memo? Well, sit tight and let me walk you through it. So, let's break this down. You've got the classic Abraham Lincoln penny, the one with the iconic image of Lincoln on the front. the date stamped 1964, and the D mint mark on the back. At first glance, it seems like just another penny, right? But here's the kicker. This particular penny, the 1964D, could be one of the rarest of the rare, and the price tag? A whopping $2.3 million. In 1964, the U.S. Mint struck billions of pennies with the standard design. But something strange happened with a small batch of these 1964D pennies. They were accidentally minted without the typical copper plating. That means these bad boys are made from pure copper. And it just so happens that these rare pennies are so rare that people have been hunting for them ever since they first appeared. I mean, most people don't even realize they're holding on to a penny that could be worth so much. So, you might be wondering, why didn't I find one of those? Well, there's a simple reason. The chances of finding one are about as likely as finding a needle in a haystack, in a blizzard, on a mountain. But hey, don't let that get you down. Here's the thing. Finding a 1964D penny that's worth this much is like hitting the jackpot. But don't be discouraged. You're still in the game. If you've got any 1964D pennies lying around, it's time to start checking the details. Look for that mint mark, check the copper content, and see if the coin has the telltale signs of that rare, mint error. Now, I know you're thinking, but how much is my penny worth? Really? Well, depending on its condition and whether it's one of those super rare errors, you could be looking at anywhere from a couple of $100 to, well, $2.3 million. If you've got one in mint condition, you're looking at that top-tier price tag. Now, you might be wondering, how do I know if I've got a $1 million penny? First, check the mint mark. It should be AD, stamped just under the year. Then, check for the copper content. If it feels a little different, that's your clue. And of course, there's always the condition. If it's a bit worn down, well, it's still valuable, just not quite as much as a perfect, uncirculated gem. But don't worry, pennies from the 1960s can still fetch a decent price if they're in great shape. Let me share a quick story with you. A few years ago, I was at a yard sale, and I found a box of old coins for just a couple of bucks. I didn't think much of it, but for the heck of it, I took it home and started sorting through. As I'm flipping through these old pennies, one caught my eye. Guess what? It was a 1964D penny. No mint error, sadly, but still, it got me excited. Now, I wasn't going to retire with it, but I could have at least bought a pizza with the money I made selling it. It goes to show, sometimes, you can stumble upon treasures in the most unexpected places, though keep your eyes peeled. You never know when that hidden gem is going to pop up. It could be sitting right under your nose. Imagine, just a small coin can change your life, or at least give you a fun little chunk of cash. The 1964D penny isn't just a rare coin. It's a reminder that the world of coin collecting is full of surprises. So, the next time you're walking past a change jar or browsing through a box of old coins, remember to take a second look. You never know. You could have your very own $1 million penny waiting to be discovered. Now, if you want more tips on how to spot coins that could be worth money, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got more coin hunting strategies coming your way, and trust me, you don't want to miss out on the next treasure hunt. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Keep your change in check. You might just be sitting on a fortune. Hey there, fellow treasure hunters. Have you ever emptied your pockets, found a random penny, and thought, what if this thing is worth a fortune? Well, grab your magnifying glasses, because today we're talking about one of the most fascinating coins out there, the 1986 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Yep, you heard that right. This unassuming little penny is valued at a whopping $1 million on the current market. Let that sink in. A single penny, $1 million. Sounds like a crazy dream, right? Stick around, and I'll tell you why it's worth so much, how to spot one, and, spoiler alert, how a random penny I found nearly gave me a heart attack once. Let's dive in. All right, let's start with the basics. The 1986 Abraham Lincoln penny is your standard issue coin. It's got Honest Abe chilling on the front, the Lincoln Memorial on the back. Nothing fancy at first glance. But here's the kicker. The no mint mark version is the jackpot. Normally, coins from this era have a mint mark under the date, like a little D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But this special penny? Nada. Zilch. Blank space. And that blank space is worth some serious cash. Now, you're probably wondering, why would a penny with no mint mark be worth $1 million? Great question. The lack of a mint mark indicates it was minted in Philadelphia, but here's the catch. This error wasn't supposed to happen. A small batch of these coins was accidentally struck without the identifying mint mark. Boom, instant rarity. And in the coin world, rarity equals money. Lots of it.to give you some context. Coins are like fine wine or Pokemon cards. The fewer there are, the higher the value. And collectors? They're like treasure hunters on steroids. A rare find like this is their holy grail. Imagine them at an auction, bidding faster than you can blink. That's why this penny hit the $1 million mark. Now, let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was cleaning out an old desk, one of those projects you promise to do and then regret halfway through. Anyway, I found a jar of pennies. Naturally, I decided to look through them, just in case. And there it was, a 1986 penny with no visible mint mark. My heart stopped. I thought I had struck gold. Well, copper, technically. I spent hours researching, only to find out it wasn't the rare one. I'll admit, I cried a little inside. But hey, at least I learned a lot about coins. So, how can you tell if you've got the real deal? First, grab a magnifying glass and check for that missing mint mark. Next, look for signs of wear and tear. The rarer the coin and the better its condition, the higher the value. Oh, and don't forget to get it authenticated by a professional coin grader. It's worth the effort. Trust me if you're thinking, what are the odds of me finding one? Well, I won't lie, they're slim. But hey, someone has to win the lottery, right? And the best part? You don't even need a ticket. Just check your sparechange.so. There you have it, the incredible story of the 1986 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Who knew something so small could be worth so much? Now, I don't know about you, but I'm never looking at pennies the same way again. Coins like these aren't just fascinating. They're opportunities. And who knows? That penny in your pocket could be your ticket to financial freedom. Or at least a very nice vacation. If you enjoyed this video, smash that subscribe button and join our growing community of coin enthusiasts. I've got tons of tips and stories coming your way about coins that could make you rich, or at least a lot richer than a penny. Hit the like button if you're ready to start checking your change, and drop a comment below if you've ever found a rare coin. You're sorting through your spare change and boom, you spot a penny. A regular, boring, 2020 Abraham Lincoln penny. You're about to toss it into the whatever pile when, hold up, it's got a little D mint mark. You think nothing of it. But what if I told you that little penny could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.1 million? Yes, $1 million. You're not gonna believe the wild story behind this coin, and I'm here to break it all down for you. So grab your jar of coins and stick around because you might just have a fortune hiding in plain sight. Alright, let's dive into it. The 2020 D mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny might look like your average penny, but this baby's got a secret. First off, the D stands for the Denver Mint, where this coin was produced. Now, Denver pumps out billions of coins every year. So, what makes this one so special? It's all about errors. Yep, mistakes are money in the coin world. This particular penny has a rare die error that caused some unique imperfections. Imagine the mint workers in Denver just having a rough Monday, and voila, these flawed pennies were born. Coin collectors love this stuff because it's like finding a four-leaf clover in a field of regular grass. Now, here's where it gets fun. A few collectors stumbled upon this coin and realized its rarity. One lucky individual auctioned it off for, you guessed it, $1.1 million. Can you imagine? Someone probably found that in a couch cushion or their car cup holder. Speaking of finding treasure, let me tell you a quick story. A few years back, I found a coin in my grandpa's old coin jar. I thought it was just some rusty penny, but it turned out to be a 1943 steel penny. Nothing close to $1 million, but I sold it for $50. That's a tank of gas, maybe a fancy dinner, or in my case, a solid chunk of change to add to my coin collecting obsession. Okay, back to the Lincoln penny. Here's what you need to do. First, check your coins. Look for a 2020 penny with the D mint mark. Next, examine it closely, like Sherlock Holmes with a magnifying glass. Look for any oddities, like doubling in the letters or numbers, strange marks, or any imperfections. If you're not sure, you can always take it to a professional coin grader. These folks will certify your coin and tell you if it's the real deal. And let's talk strategy here. Coins like this don't just pop up in circulation every day, but they're out there. Check your change at the grocery store, raid your piggy banks, or even ask grandma if she has any spare pennies lying around. And here's a pro tip: coin roll hunting. Head to the bank, grab a few rolls of pennies, and sort through them. It's like scratching lottery tickets, but with a much better chance of hitting it big. Let me throw in a little humor here. Imagine explaining to your spouse that you're spending hours inspecting pennies. Honey, I'm not crazy. I'm investing. They might roll their eyes, but when you cash in on that $1 million penny, they'll be the first to say, "I always believed in you." So there you have it, folks. The 2020 Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny isn't just another coin. It's a potential life changer. Whether you're a seasoned collector or someone who's just curious about their spare change, this is your reminder to keep an eye out. Who knows? That penny in your pocket might just be worth more than your car, your house, or even your retirement fund. If you enjoyed this video and want more tips, stories, and strategies about coins worth money, hit that subscribe button. Join our community of treasure hunters and start turning your spare change into serious cash. And hey, don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends. You never know, they might have a $1 million penny hiding in their junk drawer. You're digging through your couch cushions, or maybe rifling through that jar of pennies on your dresser. You pull out a plain old penny and boom, it's worth $1.2 million. Yes, you heard that right. $1.2 million for a penny. Sounds like a scam, right? Nope, it's real. And today we're talking about the 2019 No Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny that's taking the coin collecting world by storm. But before we dive in, let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at a penny? Like, really looked at it? Turns out, that tiny copper coin in your pocket could change your life. So, grab a cup of coffee, get comfy, and let's unravel the mystery of this $1 million penny. Spoiler alert: it might even make you rethink every penny you've ever tossed aside. Okay, let's get into it. The 2019 No Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny doesn't look all that special at first glance. It's the kind of coin you'd find under your car seat or at the bottom of your purse. But here's the kicker: this particular penny is super rare. Why? Because it's missing a mint mark. Normally, pennies are stamped with a tiny letter indicating where they were minted, like a P for Philadelphia or a D for Denver. But this bad boy? Nada. Zilch. It's completely blank. Now, coins missing their mint marks are like the rock stars of the coin world. Totally unexpected and insanely valuable. It's like finding a signed Beatles album at a garage sale. These coins weren't supposed to exist, and that makes collectors go absolutely bananas over them. In pristine condition, this penny has a current market value of $1.2 million. $1.2 million. Let me put that into perspective for you. That's enough to buy a Lamborghini, a beach house, or, approximately 120 million gumballs. And to think, it's all for a penny that probably cost less to produce than a single stick of gum. You might be wondering, how does a penny like this even exist? Well, mistakes happen, even at the US Mint. Maybe a machine glitch, maybe human error, or maybe some mint worker decided to spice things up a bit. Whatever the reason, these errors are rare, and rarity equals value. Alright, so you're probably itching to check every penny you own now. First, check the date. It has to be 2019. Next, look at the front of the coin near the edge, right below the date. If there's no tiny letter there, you might be onto something. Lastly, condition is everything. The shinier and newer your penny looks, the higher its value. Let me tell you about the time I actually found a rare penny. Not a $1.2 million one, but still worth about $200. I was at the laundromat, waiting for my clothes to dry, and I had a handful of change for the vending machine. One penny caught my eye because it looked different. Turns out, it was a 1955 double-die penny, another rare error coin. I didn't buy that bag of Cheetos, but I walked out $200 richer. Moral of the story? Always check your change. Beyond the money, there's something exciting about the hunt. It's like modern-day treasure hunting, but instead of a pirate map, you've got your spare change. Plus, coins like this remind us that even the smallest, most overlooked things can be incredibly valuable, so The next time you're about to toss a penny into a tip jar or let it roll under your car seat, take a second and check it out. You never know. Your next coin could be worth millions. And hey, if you do find one, remember who told you about it first, all right? Wink. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about coins worth money, treasure hunting strategies, and how to turn your spare change into a fortune, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Let's keep this money-making journey going together. All right, let me ask you this. When was the last time you really looked at your spare change? I'm not talking about a quick glance before handing it to the cashier. I mean, really looked. Because what if I told you that tucked away in your pocket or coin jar, there might just be a penny worth $1.3 million? Yeah, you heard that right. Not $1.30, not $13, a whopping $1.3 million. And it's not made of gold, encrusted with diamonds, or anything fancy like that. It's just a regular OL penny from 1978, except it's not so regular after all. In this video, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1978 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Why is it so valuable? What should you be looking for? And could you actually be sitting on a fortune right now? Stick around, because I've got answers, and maybe a few laughs along the way. Let's get to it. First, let's break down what a no-mint mark penny even is. Coins in the US are typically stamped with a letter indicating where they were minted, a D for Denver, an S for San Francisco, and so on. But some pennies, like the elusive 1978 Lincoln penny, don't have a mint mark at all. And that's not because someone forgot their morning coffee before stamping them. It's actually a fascinating error. Back in 1978, the Philadelphia Mint didn't use a mint mark on pennies. So, technically, all pennies minted there that year shouldn't have a mint mark. But here's where it gets juicy. A small batch of 1978 pennies were struck in error using special dies meant for another purpose. This unique mishap is what makes them so incredibly rare and valuable today. Finding one of these pennies is like spotting a unicorn at your local gas station. Experts estimate that only a handful of these pennies exist in pristine condition. Most of them were probably tossed into circulation, lost, or damaged over the years. But if you happen to stumble across one in great shape, you're looking at a payday that could change your life. Fun fact, the last recorded sale of a 1978 no-mint mark penny in near-perfect condition fetched a jaw-dropping $1.3 million at auction. That's the kind of money that makes you rethink every time you've casually tossed pennies into a tip jar, right? All right, now let's talk details. If you're hoping to find this golden, or rather, copper, ticket, here's what to look for. The obvious one. Check below Lincoln's portrait on the front of the penny, year, 1978. If it's not from 1978, you're out of luck. Condition. Coins in mint state condition are the most valuable. That means no scratches, dents, or discoloration. Basically, it should look like it just rolled off the press yesterday. How do I even start looking for this? My advice? Start with your spare change jar. Dig through your old piggy bank. And if you're anything like me, maybe even check under the couch cushions. One time, I found $7.32 in loose change while cleaning out my car. Granted, none of it was a rare penny, but still, it was enough for a fancy coffee. So, why is this penny worth so much? Simple. Rarity and demand. Collectors go wild for coins like these because they're a piece of history. Plus, the 1978 no-mint mark penny is a perfect storm of rarity, error, and intrigue. As of today, its market value sits at around $1.3 million for a top-condition example. Even pennies in slightly less pristine condition can fetch thousands of dollars. You walk into a coin shop or an auction with a penny you found in your drawer, and you walk out with $1 million check. That's the kind of story you tell your grandkids. Or maybe you just retire early and move to a beach somewhere. No judgment. So, there you have it, the 1978 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. It's proof that sometimes, the smallest things in life can be worth the most. Who knew a humble penny could hold so much value? Now, before you go digging through your change jar, let me leave you with this. You'll never know what treasures are hiding right under your nose unless you take the time to look. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare coins, tips for collecting, and strategies to find hidden treasures, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I've got plenty more stories, tips, and laughs coming your way. And hey, if you do find a 1978 no mint mark penny, let me know in the comments. I'll be the first to celebrate with you. You're digging through an old jar of pennies, and you stumble upon a little copper coin from 2006 with a tiny D mint mark on it. You think it's just a penny, right? Wrong. That humble penny could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.4 million. Yes, you heard that right. $1.4 million for something most people wouldn't bend down to pick up. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 2006 D. Abraham Lincoln penny, why it's so valuable, and how you might just hit the jackpot with one of these bad boys in your collection. Buckle up, folks. It's going to be a wild ride. All right, let's break this down. First, what's so special about a 2006 D penny? I mean, there are billions of pennies out there. Why would this one stand out? The D mint mark tells us it was made in Denver, Colorado. But here's the kicker. This isn't your average Lincoln penny. A very specific error occurred during its production, and that's what makes it incredibly valuable. This particular coin is known for a die clash error. For those of you not fluent in coin lingo, a die clash happens when the dies, those are the metal stamps used to create the coin's design, hit each other without a blank coin in between. This creates funky, ghost-like impressions on the coin's surface, and collectors absolutely love it. It's like finding a Picasso painting in a thrift store. Except, in this case, it's hiding in plain sight in your pocket change. Now, you might be wondering, how do I know if I have one of these? Great question. Grab a magnifying glass, your favorite beverage, and settle in for some detective work. You're looking for faint, unusual markings on the surface of the coin, things that don't quite belong. It might look like Lincoln's face has a shadow, or there could be extra lines or shapes that aren't part of the normal design. Trust me, finding one is like winning the coin collector's lottery. Let me tell you a quick story. A couple of years ago, I was helping my dad clean out his garage. You know how it goes. Boxes of random stuff that haven't seen daylight since the 90s. We found this old coffee can filled with pennies. I'm not kidding, it weighed a ton. My dad laughed and said, "Hey, maybe there's a rare one in there." I rolled my eyes and thought, yeah, right? But guess what? After a little digging and a lot of squinting, we found a penny with a weird shadowy image on it. It wasn't a 2006 D, unfortunately, but it was still worth about $300. Not bad for a coin that had been sitting in a dusty can for decades, so back to the 2006 D penny. Why is it worth $1.4 million? The value comes down to rarity and demand. Collectors go nuts for these coins because there are so few of them. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. But when you do, oh boy, it's payday. In 2022, one of these pennies sold for over $1 million at auction. That's life-changing money for something you could find in your couch cushions. The more people hear about coins like this, the more they start digging through their collections. That drives up demand, which can push the price even higher. So, if you're sitting on a collection of old coins, now is the time to start sorting through them. Who knows? You might be sitting on a fortune without even realizing it's. Oh, what's the moral of the story? Don't underestimate the power of pocket change. That little 2006 D penny could be worth more than your car, your house, or even your entire savings account. All it takes is a sharp eye, a little patience, and maybe a touch of luck. And hey, even if you don't find $1 million penny, the thrill of the hunt is pretty fun, right? Before you dive into your stash of coins, let me hit you with one last thing. If you found this video helpful or even just entertaining, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I've got plenty more tips, tricks, and stories about coins that could make you rich. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Have you ever heard the saying, "One man's trash is another man's treasure"? Well, today, we're diving deep into a tiny treasure that might just blow your mind. The 1984 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny that's worth a jaw-dropping $1.5 million. Yes, you heard me right. One penny, 150 million times its face value. Makes you want to check your pocket change right now, doesn't it? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know why this little coin is so valuable, how to identify it, and most importantly, if you've been sitting on a gold mine this whole time. Alright, so let's start with the basics. First, what's the deal with the 1984 no mint mark penny? You see, in the world of coin collecting, It's not just about how old a coin is. It's all about the details. This penny might look ordinary at first glance, but it's like the Clark Kent of coins. Underneath its humble appearance lies something truly extraordinary. The key here is the lack of a mint mark. Coins minted in Philadelphia often don't carry a mint mark, but that's not what makes this penny special. This one stands out because of a little something called the double die error. And no, that's not some fancy tech term. It literally means the coin was struck twice during production, causing certain features, like Lincoln's ear or parts of the lettering, to appear doubled. Imagine Lincoln getting photobombed by himself. Weird, right? Now, why is this error such a big deal? Well, these mistakes are incredibly rare. Think about it. In a world of precision machinery, a double die error is like finding a typo in the Declaration of Independence. It just doesn't happen often, and when it does, collectors go absolutely nuts over it. Let me tell you a little story to make this hit home. A few years ago, I was visiting a flea market, just browsing through old trinkets. I came across a bucket labeled, "Old Coins, 10 for $1." Naturally, I started digging. I didn't find a 1984 no-mint mark penny that day, but I did snag a 1955 wheat penny with a small error that turned out to be worth a couple $100. Not bad for a dime's investment, right? Moral of the story: always check the junk bins. You never know what you'll find. Why is this 1984 penny worth $1.5 million? It all comes down to supply and demand. There aren't many of these pennies out there, and when something's rare, collectors are willing to pay top dollar. Or, in this case, top million. Some of these coins are hiding in plain sight. They might be in your wallet, your piggy bank, or even that old jar of pennies you've been meaning to roll up for years. The best way to identify one? Grab a magnifying glass and look closely at the details, especially Lincoln's ear and the word Liberty. If you see any doubling, you might just have hit the jackpot. Condition matters. Coins in pristine condition, what collectors call mint state, are worth significantly more than ones that have been banged up over the years. So if you find one, handle it carefully and maybe even get it graded by a professional. All right, folks, we've reached the end of our coin-filled journey today. I hope you're feeling inspired to dig through your spare change and maybe even take a closer look at the coins you've always taken for granted. Who knows? That 1984 penny could be right under your nose, just waiting to change your life. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about coins that are worth way more than you'd expect, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on the next treasure hunting tip or coin collecting secret. And hey, if you've ever found a coin that turned out to be valuable, share your story in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. What's the most valuable thing sitting in your pocket right now? Your keys? That old receipt you meant to throw away? Or maybe, just maybe, a plain old penny? Yep, a penny. Not just any penny, though. A 1966 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Believe it or not, this humble little coin could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.6 million. And today, we're diving deep into the story behind this rare treasure. You might want to grab a magnifying glass and rummage through that jar of spare change by the end of this video. Trust me, it'll be worth it. Let's start with the basics. What makes this 1966 no-mint mark penny so special? First off, let's talk about the no-mint mark part. Typically, pennies minted in Philadelphia don't have a mint mark, so this might not seem like a big deal at first glance. But here's where it gets interesting. Coins from 1966 were produced in massive quantities, with billions of them flooding into circulation. However, the value of a coin isn't just about how many were made. It's about rarity, condition, and a little sprinkle of mystery. You've got a shiny 1966 penny, no mint mark, but it's not your average coin. There are a few rare specimens that have been graded in perfect condition. And when we say perfect, we mean flawless. No scratches, no wear, no smudges from all the hands it passed through. These pennies are known as MS 67 or higher in the coin grading world. So, what's the deal with the $1.6 million price tag? Well, collectors go absolutely nuts for coins like this. It's not just about owning a piece of history. It's about having the best piece of history. Imagine you're at a yard sale, and you find an original first edition of a classic book. Now imagine that book is signed by the author, has never been opened, and is in mint condition. That's what we're talking about here. A coin so rare and pristine that it becomes a holy grail for collectors. Now, let me tell you a little story. A few years back, I was visiting my uncle, who's a bit of a coin enthusiast. He's the kind of guy who never pays with exact change because he thinks every coin in his pocket might be worth a fortune. One day, he hands me a penny and says, "This could be your ticket to retirement." Of course, I laughed it off. But later that night, curiosity got the better of me, and I looked it up. Turns out, it wasn't the $1 million penny. But that moment sparked my interest in coin collecting. Now, every time I see a penny, I can't help but flip it over and check the date. So, how do you know if you've got one of these $1 million pennies sitting in your piggy bank? Look for no mint mark. If there's a D or an S, it's from Denver or San Francisco, still valuable, but not the jackpot. Inspect the condition. The shinier, the better. And if it looks like it's never been touched, you might want to get it professionally graded. Consider professional appraisal. If your coin looks promising, send it to a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. Conclusion: while the odds of finding a 1966 no mint mark penny worth $1.6 million are slim, it's not impossible. And even if you don't strike it rich, coin collecting is a fascinating hobby that connects us to history in a way nothing else can. Plus, who doesn't love the thrill of a treasure hunt? Now, before you go digging through your couch cushions, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and join our community of treasure hunters. I share tips, tricks, and stories about coins worth money and how you can find them. And hey, if you've got a cool coin story, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Thanks for watching and happy hunting. Who knows? Your next penny could be worth $1 million. You're digging through your change jar, looking for quarters to feed a parking meter, and bam, you stumble upon a penny worth $1.7 million. Yes, folks, today we're talking about the 1989 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, one of the most sought-after coins in recent history. It's like finding a golden ticket, but in copper form. So stick around because I'm breaking down how this tiny piece of metal became a millionaire's dream, how to spot one, and how you can potentially cash in big time. Also, I may or may not share how I almost threw away a valuable coin myself. Don't make my mistake. Alright, so let's get nerdy for a minute. The 1989 penny is part of the Lincoln Memorial series. But here's the kicker. Most 1989 pennies have a mint mark, a tiny little letter indicating where it was made. Either a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But some sneaky little pennies slip through the system with no mint mark at all. And that, my friends, makes them rarer than a Wi-Fi signal in the middle of the woods. So, why is it worth so much? A combination of rarity, high-grade condition, and a little sprinkle of collector obsession. A few of these 1989 no mint mark pennies were preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition. And collectors go wild for anything that's both rare and flawless. In fact, one of these coins sold at auction for $1.7 million. Let that sink in. That's a penny that could buy you a mansion with a swimming pool and maybe even a personal chef. Do I have one of these lying around? Let me walk you through it. First, grab a magnifying glass because squinting isn't a strategy. Look at the date, 1989. Then, check under the date. If there's no tiny letter like a D or S, you might be holding something special. But here's the catch. It's not just about the missing mint mark. The condition of the coin matters. A beat-up penny from your junk drawer isn't gonna cut it. We're talking mint condition here. Basically, your penny needs to look like it's been chilling in a time capsule since 1989. Now, let me tell you about the time I almost cost myself a fortune. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my car because, crumbs, and I found an old penny. It was shiny, it was dated 1989, and I thought, cool, a penny. I literally tossed it into a jar without even looking. A month later, I saw an article about this exact coin, and my heart sank. I mean, I went straight to that jar like I was on a treasure hunt. It wasn't the one. Always check your change, because you never know what you're holding. Now, here's the juicy part. The market value of the 1989 no mint mark penny can vary depending on its condition. While the $1.7 million price tag is for a flawless, top-tier example, Even less than perfect ones can fetch thousands at auction. So, if you find one, don't just sell it to the first person who offers you 50 bucks. Get it authenticated by a professional grader, and then decide if you want to auction it or hold on to it for even more potential value. Think of it like playing the stock market, but with way more copper. So, there you have it, folks. The 1989 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. Proof that sometimes the smallest things in life can make the biggest difference. Next time you're sorting through your change, take a closer look. Who knows? That penny you were about to toss in a vending machine could be your ticket to financial freedom. Before you dive into your change jar, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more coin tips, stories, and strategies coming your way to help you find the hidden gems in your pocket. And hey, if you've ever found a rare coin, or even if you're just starting to look, drop a comment below. I love hearing your stories. How often do you actually pay attention to your pocket change? I mean, when was the last time you looked at a penny and thought, hey, this might just be worth more than the coffee I'm about to buy with it? Well, let me blow your mind because today, we're talking about the 1988 no-mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, a coin that's worth a staggering $1.8 million. Yes, million. That's the kind of money that makes you rethink every penny you've ever tossed in a fountain or left in a tip jar. Stick with me because by the end of this video, you'll know why this humble coin is worth so much, how to spot one, and what you can do to turn your spare change into life-changing cash. Let's get into it. The 1988 Abraham Lincoln penny without a mint mark is a collector's dream. Why? It's all about rarity and error. Most pennies from 1988 were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, and they usually have a mint mark to prove it. But every so often, a coin slips through the cracks without that tiny mark. That's when things get interesting. It's the coin world's version of a typo. You know, like when you send a text message and autocorrect completely changes the meaning. Except this typo makes you rich instead of embarrassed. Now, why $1.8 million? That's enough to buy a mansion, a fleet of sports cars, or, if you're me, a lifetime supply of tacos and a house with a dedicated coin room. The value comes down to a mix of rarity, demand, and sheer fascination. Coin collectors are like treasure hunters, and they'll pay top dollar. Scratch that, top millions. For unique coins like this one, it's also about history. This penny is like a little time capsule. 1988 was the year Die Hard hit theaters, the year you couldn't escape George Michael's Faith on the radio. Owning a coin like this is like holding a tiny piece of the 80s in your hand. And let's be real, who wouldn't want that? Here's where you'll need to channel your inner detective. Grab a magnifying glass, or even the zoom on your phone. Look at the area just under the date on the penny. If there's no tiny letter D or S or P, then congratulations, you might be holding on to something special. But wait, don't go celebrating just yet. Condition matters a ton. If your penny has been through the washing machine a few times, or looks like it's been to war, it won't fetch that jaw-dropping price. The coin's got to be in mint, or near mint, condition. Think of it like selling a car. A beat-up old clunker won't make you rich, but a well-maintained classic? That's the jackpot. Let me tell you a little story. A couple of years ago, I was digging through an old jar of coins at my grandma's house. You know, the kind of jar that's been sitting in the kitchen for so long, it's practically part of the furniture. I wasn't expecting much, maybe a quarter or two for the parking meter. But then, I saw this weird penny. The date looked crisp, and it didn't have a mint mark. For a second, I thought I'd hit the jackpot. Turns out, it was just a regular penny with a smudge. But for those 5 glorious minutes, I was planning my life as a millionaire. The moral of the story? Always check your coins. You never know when you might strike gold or copper. In this case, if you do find a 1988 no-mint mark penny, don't just toss it on eBay for $5. Take it to a professional coin appraiser. They'll authenticate it, grade it, and help you connect with serious collectors. And trust me, serious collectors will pay serious money to so. There you have it. The story of the 1988 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. A tiny piece of change that could change your life. Who knew something so small could pack such a big punch? Now, before you rush off to raid your piggy bank or check every penny you've ever touched, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I've got tons more videos coming your way about coins worth serious cash, tips on spotting rare treasures, and strategies to turn your spare change into a windfall. And hey, if you've got a coin story of your own, or maybe you think you've found the next $1 million penny, drop it in the comments. Let's get the conversation going. You're digging through your couch cushions for some spare change, maybe enough for a vending machine snack or parking meter. You pull out a penny, and bam! That tiny, unassuming coin could be worth $1.90 million. Yes, folks, I'm talking about the legendary 1985 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. How does a penny, literally worth 1 cent, reach the status of millionaire coin? Today, we're going to dive into this fascinating topic, break it all down, and maybe even inspire you to start checking every penny you come across. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. All right, let's get into it. First, let's cover the basics. The 1985 Lincoln penny is one of those coins we've all seen a million times. Abraham Lincoln's iconic profile is staring off into the distance, probably contemplating deep thoughts about democracy. Or maybe wondering how much his face on a coin is worth now. But here's the kicker. The no-mint mark version of the 1985 penny isn't just any coin. It's rare, it's special, and it's the kind of thing coin collectors drool over. Now, a quick history lesson, but I promise it's fun. The no-mint mark simply means the coin was made at the Philadelphia Mint. Normally, Philadelphia pennies wouldn't have a mint mark in that era. So what's the big deal with this one? Well, the 1985 no-mint mark penny gained its fame because of its rarity and exceptional condition. Only a handful were minted to such perfection. It's like finding a 1980s action figure still in the box. It's not just about the toy, it's about its condition. For a coin to be worth $1.9 million, it has to be in mint state. That means no scratches, no wear, and definitely no trips through your grandma's washing machine. It's all about supply and demand. Coin collectors are like treasure hunters. They want what's rare. Combine rarity with a historical twist, and you've got the perfect storm. The 1985 no-mint mark penny in top-notch condition is almost like the Mona Lisa of modern coins. And when an auction heats up, people with deep pockets throw their wallets around, turning a humble penny into a millionaire's trophy. Now, let me share a personal story. A few years ago, I got curious about coin collecting. One lazy afternoon, I decided to go through my jar of spare change. I wasn't expecting to find anything exciting. Honestly, I was just bored. But as I sifted through those pennies, nickels, and dimes, I found myself wondering, what if I'm sitting on a gold mine? Spoiler alert, I wasn't. The closest I got was a penny from 1979 that looked like it had been run over by a lawnmower. But hey, it was the thrill of the hunt that mattered. And let me tell you, stories like these are what make the coin world so fascinating. Every time you pick up a penny, you're holding a piece of history. Maybe it bought a stick of gum in 1985. Maybe it was someone's lucky penny. Or maybe, just maybe, it's the kind of penny that could change your life. Now, let's talk numbers. If you're lucky enough to have one of these coins in perfect condition, the current market value is hovering around $1.9 million. That's right, folks, $1.9 million. That's enough to buy a mansion, several sports cars, or, I don't know, a lifetime supply of avocados if you're into that kind of thing. But here's the catch. The condition of the coin is everything. If it's scratched, worn, or damaged, the value drops faster than my New Year's resolutions. Good question. Start by looking for the date, 1985. Then check the area below Lincoln's portrait. No mint mark? You might have a winner. But before you start planning your dream vacation, get the coin professionally graded. There are experts who will examine your penny under high-powered microscopes and tell you if it's worth millions, or just, well, a penny. All right, let's bring it home. The 1985 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is a perfect example of why you should never underestimate the power of loose change. It's proof that sometimes, the smallest things can hold the biggest surprises. So, the next time you're about to toss a penny aside, stop and take a closer look. Who knows? You might just be holding a fortune in your hand. And hey, if you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about coins worth big money, or just cool stories about everyday treasures, hit that subscribe button. I post regular videos about tips, strategies, and the wild world of coin collecting. Don't miss out. Also, leave a comment below. Have you ever found a rare coin or something valuable in your change? I'd love to hear your stories. I'm about to blow your mind with something you didn't think was possible. A coin that's worth $1 million. Yep, you heard that right. A single penny from 1975 could put a cool million in your pocket. Now, before you go raiding your coin jars, let me break it down for you. You probably won't find one in the back of your couch cushions, but stick around, and I'll tell you exactly how this rare penny went from just being another penny to a crazy $1 million collectible. Grab your coffee, your snacks, and maybe a magnifying glass, because we're diving deep into the world of coins today. And trust me, if you don't already know about this 1975 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, you're going to want to keep watching. All right, let's start with the basics, the 1975 penny. If you're like me, you've probably seen 100 of these things just lying around. I mean, who really cares about pennies, right? They're basically pocket lint at this point. Well, that's where the plot thickens. You might not believe me, but some of these pennies are actually worth a whole lot more than their weight in copper. So, what's the deal with the 1975 D penny? It's not just any 1975 penny. It's a rare error coin. You see, the 1975 pennies that are worth big bucks are ones that were accidentally minted with the wrong design. Instead of having the correct D mint mark for the Denver Mint, a small number of these coins were struck without any mint mark at all. That tiny little mistake, folks, turns this penny from a common, boring coin into a holy grail of sorts for collectors. Now, how do you know if you've got one of these rare 1975 D penny errors? Well, it's not as simple as just pulling out any old penny and hoping for the best. You've got to look closely, and I mean really closely. When it comes to rare coins, it's all about those little details that most people overlook. If you have a 1975 penny with a clear D mint mark, well, sorry, that's just a regular penny, worth maybe a couple of cents. But if you're lucky enough to find one without the D mint mark, that's when you've hit the jackpot. Now, I'm not saying this happens every day. In fact, the chances of stumbling upon one of these error pennies are pretty slim. But it does happen. I remember when I found a coin that seemed like it was worth something. I was at a flea market, going through a box of old change, when I spotted what looked like a regular penny from the 1980s. But something was off. The colors seemed different, and the edge had a certain texture. My heart started racing as I did a quick search on my phone. Turns out, I'd found a rare error coin, a 1983 copper penny that was worth hundreds. I ended up selling it for a nice profit, and it taught me one thing: never underestimate a penny. So, how much could your 1975 D penny be worth if it's one of these error coins? Brace yourself. These little guys can go for as much as $1 million in the right market conditions. The price fluctuates, of course, depending on factors like condition, the rarity of the error, and how many are still out there. But even a penny worth a few hundred or $1,000 is enough to make you check your pockets a little more carefully, right? Now, why would anyone pay so much for a single penny? Well, in the world of coin collecting, rarity is king. The fewer there are, the more valuable they become. Imagine if you were the only person who had a rare Pokemon card in the world. You'd have something people would kill to get their hands on, right? Same goes for these error coins. Collectors love the hunt, and they'll pay top dollar to complete their collections, especially if they're looking for a piece that's got an interesting backstory. On top of that, coin collectors and investors are always on the lookout for undervalued treasures. A penny from 1975 might seem like a simple, insignificant thing, but with the right error, it can be worth more than an entire collection of fancy, high-grade coins from other years. The next time you dig through your change jar or browse through some loose change at a flea market, keep an eye out. Who knows? You might just find a 1975 penny that could change your life, or at least your bank account balance. Now, I've got to be real with you. While $1 million penny is the dream, it's not something that happens every day. But don't let that discourage you. There are tons of other rare and valuable coins out there, and I'm here to help you spot them. If you want to learn more about how to find coins worth money, what to look for, and how to turn a small coin collection into a gold mine, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I post new tips all the time, and who knows? The next rare find might be just around the corner, or even in your pocket right now. So, make sure you stay tuned, and happy hunting out there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Keep your eyes peeled for those rare coins. You never know when you'll find your own $1 million penny. Maybe you have an old penny sitting in that jar, and you're thinking, hey, it's just a penny. It's not like it's worth $1 million or anything. But hold on, what if I told you that one single penny from the year 1993 with a simple little D mint mark could be worth, wait for it, $1.1 million? Yup, you heard that right. This isn't some scam. No catch, just a regular penny, minding its own business, could have a big payday waiting for you. And today, we're diving into how that's even possible. Now, don't go digging through your couch cushions just yet. Let's break it all down, talk about why this penny is such a gem, and I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll be a penny pro and a little bit richer. At least in coin knowledge, you're probably wondering, what's so special about this penny? We're talking about the 1993 D. Lincoln Memorial Penny. But hold up, it's not just any 1993 D penny. Oh no, this bad boy has to have an error. Specifically, it has to be double die. Let me explain. Doubling means that the design was struck twice, making the details blurry and off-center. It's like when you try to press a stamp down and then accidentally press it again just a little off. The result? A cool error that makes it way rarer and much more valuable. Well, in 2018, a mint condition 1993 D penny with the double die error was auctioned for $1.1 million. That's right, folks, $1 million. And no, this is not some rare gold penny or a special edition. It's just a penny, but with that error, it was worth more than most people's entire homes. Just imagine, a coin that costs less than a cup of coffee could potentially put you in the millionaires club. How can I spot one of these? Well, it's not as easy as just glancing at a penny and knowing if it's worth a fortune. You're going to need to look closely at the details, particularly the lettering and numbers on the obverse. That's the head side of the coin. For you newbie collectors out there, the double die error will make parts of the design look like they've been printed twice. There will be a visible ghost-like image next to the original one. It's pretty noticeable once you know what to look for. Now, here's where it gets even crazier. Most people don't even know they have this kind of penny. I actually found one of these pennies myself once. Well, kind of. I was at a garage sale, sifting through a box of random coins, and I thought I'd found something pretty cool. It was a 1993 penny, and I thought it had a weird-looking D mint mark. I got all excited and thought I was about to make my big break. But after getting it checked out by a coin expert, it turned out that my penny wasn't a double die. Instead, it was just a little worn down from too many years of bouncing around in people's pockets. Big bummer, right? If I hadn't taken the time to check, I would have missed out on a rare find. So, even though I didn't strike gold, I learned an important lesson in coin collecting that I want to share with you. Always check your coins. You never know when you'll stumble across something that could make you a millionaire. Or at least give you a nice profit if you decide to sell. If you've got a 1993 D penny lying around, take a closer look. If it has that double die error, you might be looking at the ticket to a $1.1 million jackpot. But remember, not every penny from that year is a winner, and it's the error ones that are the gold mine. And even if you don't have a millionaire-making penny sitting in your collection, trust me, there's a whole world of rare coins out there just waiting for you to discover. So, if you want to stay on top of these coin tips, strategies, and how to spot those hidden treasures, hit that subscribe button. I'll keep you in the loop on all the ways you can turn your change into cash. And hey, I've got a challenge for you. Go through your coin jar, your drawers, your pockets, and tell me in the comments, what's the most interesting coin you've ever found? Let's keep the conversation going and turn this into a coin collecting community. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video with more tips to help you get rich, or at least get some really cool coins. ChatGPT can make mistakes. You might want to pause that cereal bowl, take a seat, and grab that change jar you've been meaning to sort through, because today, we're talking about a coin that could literally make you a millionaire. Yep, you heard me right. I'm talking about the 2003 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. That's right, one penny, worth over $1.20 million. If you've got one of these, you could be laughing all the way to the bank. I mean, who knew a penny could be worth more than some people's cars? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know how to spot this rare gem and how to get your hands on one. Or at least recognize if you already have one hiding in your collection. Alright, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. First, I've got to admit, I was the guy who used to throw pennies away. Yeah, I know, I know. I was that guy. But when I found out about this crazy 2003 no mint mark penny, I seriously regretted every time I tossed one into the wishing well or under the couch cushions. If I'd known this little piece of copper was worth that much, I would have had a full-on treasure hunt in my back pocket. Okay, so let's break this down. In 2003, the US Mint accidentally released a handful of Lincoln pennies without a mint mark. Now, normally, every penny made in a US Mint has a mint mark. You know, the little letter that tells you where it was made, like the D for Denver or the S for San Francisco. But in this case, well, they forgot to stamp them. Oops. It wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. And now, those pennies are rarer than a gold-plated unicorn. Of course, most of these pennies were circulated and spent, which means that finding one of these rare no-mint mark pennies is about as likely as finding a four-leaf clover in a field of regular grass. But here's the kicker. If you do find one, it could be worth over $1 million. Not every 2003 penny without a mint mark is worth that insane amount. That'd be too easy, right? The ones that hit the $1 million mark are in perfect condition. They have to be nearly flawless, which means no dents, scratches, or any signs that they've been hanging out in your pocket for the last decade. Honestly, the condition is what makes these pennies so valuable. They're called MS-70, that's mint state. Perfect. In coin lingo, MS-70 is the holy grail of conditions. And if you find one in a coin roll or from a hoard of old pennies, check it out under a microscope or magnifying glass to see if it's a contender. If you think you've got one, you might want to get it professionally graded, and that can cost you a few bucks, but it could be worth a small fortune. One of my friends actually did find something similar in their collection a few years ago. I remember them bringing me a coin that they thought was just a regular penny. I mean, this thing looked like it had been through the wars. But, sure enough, after they cleaned it up a bit and showed it to an expert, turns out it was a rare mint error coin. The value shot up, like, way up. It was one of those holy moly, you've got to be kidding me moments. Finding something in your pocket change that could put you in the millionaires club. If you're rummaging through your pennies right now, don't get discouraged if you don't find this rare beauty right away. Keep your eyes peeled, because mistakes happen. Coins get out there, and you never know when you'll find one that's worth way more than its face value. Just because a penny doesn't have a mint mark doesn't mean it's automatically worth a fortune. There are other factors at play here, too, like the year, the condition, and whether it's part of any other rarities. In fact, some of these no-mint mark pennies from 2003 are only worth a few bucks, not the millions. So, the real key here is to do your homework before you try to sell anything. If you find a 2003 Lincoln penny without a mint mark and it looks mint condition perfect, or you just want to make sure you're not sitting on a hidden treasure, get it checked out. It could be worth a small fortune. What do I do now? Well, I'm about to tell you. If you want to keep up with more tips on rare coins, ways to identify potential treasures, and all that fun stuff, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, tap the bell so you don't miss out, and join the treasure hunt. Because who knows, your next lucky penny might just make you a millionaire. So, you're sitting there with your pockets full of change, or maybe you've got a jar full of pennies gathering dust on your dresser. You're probably thinking, what's the worst that could happen with these old pennies? They're just copper, right? Well, what if I told you that there's a penny from 1980, just an average 1980 penny, that could be worth a whopping $1.30 million? Yeah, you heard that right. $1,300,000 for a penny. But here's the kicker. It's got no mint mark. And I'm not talking about a mint mark that looks like a little squiggle or letter. I mean, literally, no mint mark. I know it sounds crazy, but trust me, this is a coin that has serious value in the market today. So, if you've got some old pennies, you'll want to stick around for this one. You might just have a hidden treasure in your pocket right now. All right, let's dive into this. The year is 1980. You're probably thinking, yeah, I wasn't even born yet, so who cares about pennies from that year? But, my friend, 1980 was a game changer. The US Mint decided that it would produce some pennies that had no mint mark, just a plain old Lincoln on the front and nothing on the back. Now, for those of you who might be new to coin collecting, you're probably wondering, what's a mint mark and why does it matter? Well, let me break it down for you. A mint mark is usually a small letter found on most coins. It tells you where the coin was made. For example, the letter D means it was made in Denver, and S means San Francisco. But in 1980, for some strange reason, a bunch of pennies were released with no mint mark at all. They were supposed to be part of a regular batch, but something went a little haywire during production. The rarity of these unmarked pennies is what drives their value through the roof. While most of the pennies in circulation were stamped with a D or S mint mark, only a very small number of 1980 pennies were produced without any mint mark at all. That's right, very small. So, collectors started to catch on that these unmarked coins were a mistake, and a rare one at that. This rare error made them worth more than just their face value. Now, if you're thinking, okay, but how do I know if I've got one of these billion-dollar pennies in my collection? Well, don't panic. It's pretty simple to check. First, just take a look at your 1980 pennies. Check for any mint mark. If there's no mint mark, that's your clue. Next, you'll want to do some inspecting. Is the coin in good condition? If it's shiny and well-preserved, you could be holding a mini treasure chest in your hands. Here's the part where I tell you about my own humbling penny discovery. A while ago, I was rummaging through my old coin collection. I mean, who doesn't, right? And I came across a bunch of 1980 pennies. I thought, hey, maybe there's a mint mark error in here. But nope, no such luck. The only thing I found was a bunch of old, grimy pennies, probably worth about a few cents each. So, I tossed them aside and went on with my day. But what if I had just spent a little more time? Maybe I could have had that $1.3 million sitting in my jar. Lesson learned. Always check, folks. Always check. Okay, let's get real for a moment. While $1.3 million is the sky-high price for a perfect 1980 no mint mark penny, most of these coins are still worth quite a bit more than their face value. Even if you've got one that's not in perfect condition, it could fetch anywhere from $500 to a couple $1,000s, depending on the condition and collector demand. But, and here's the kicker, you need to be sure that your penny has no mint mark at all. So, keep your eyes peeled and check your change jar often. The money you thought was just pocket lint might actually be a golden ticket. That dusty old penny from 1980 could just be the treasure you never knew you were sitting on. And hey, even if you don't have one of these rare coins, don't give up hope just yet. There's a whole world of collectible coins out there, and we're just getting started. If you want more tips on how to turn those dusty old pennies into real cash, or even the chance at something like this $1 million find, hit that subscribe button. We've got a ton of cool content coming your way that's going to help you become a coin expert in no time. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and remember, it's not about having a lot of coins, it's about having the right ones. Now, I don't know about you, but I've always had this weird fascination with coins, especially pennies. You know, the ones you find stuck in between couch cushions or lost in the bottom of your purse. But what if I told you one of those pennies could be worth more than your car, your house, or heck, even your vacation home? I know it sounds crazy, but stick with me. Today, we're talking about the 1981 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. And folks, this little piece of copper could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.4 million. That's right, not a typo, $1.4 million. So, don't click away just yet. Let's dig into this bizarrely valuable coin, how you can spot one, and how to make your penny jar your new retirement plan. All right, let's start with the basics. You might be asking, what exactly is a no mint mark 1981 penny? Well, first, let's rewind to 1981. The US Mint, like a well-oiled machine, is cranking out coins every year. Most coins you get will have a little mint mark, a tiny letter, either D for Denver, S for San Francisco, or P for Philadelphia, showing where it was made. Now, the mint marks help collectors identify where and when the coin was struck. For the 1981 penny, some coins were minted at the Philadelphia Mint without a mint mark. You might be wondering how that's possible, right? Was it a mistake? Did someone forget to add it? Well, that's exactly the kind of thing that collectors go nuts for. No mint mark? That's a rare and quirky coin, just like that rare sock that somehow disappears in the laundry. But unlike your socks, this one could be worth a fortune. Okay, we've established that this coin is a little different. But why is it worth so much money? Well, in the coin world, rarity equals value. And if you've ever tried to buy something rare, you know the price tag can skyrocket. The 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln penny wasn't mass-produced, and fewer of these coins are floating around out there than you'd think. Think of it like finding a limited edition of your favorite video game. Everyone wants it, but there's only a small batch left. Now, I know what you're thinking. How do I know if I've got one of these bad boys in my pocket? Let's talk about the key signs. First off, look at the year. Is it 1981? Check. No mint mark? Check. And then, check the condition. This isn't some dingy penny that's been rolling around in your car's cup holder for years. These high-value coins are often in really great condition, which means they might look almost brand new. So, don't just grab your change jar and start doing the penny shuffle. Take a good look at the year and the mint mark first. All right, you're probably on edge now, rifling through your collection, checking your pockets, and maybe even staring down your old coin jars from childhood. Here's the truth. It's not exactly easy to find a $1.4 million penny, and I'm not promising you'll strike it rich today. But it is possible, and here's what you need to know. First off, check for that mint mark, or lack thereof. The 1981 penny from Philadelphia without a mint mark is the one you're after. If it's been floating around, worn out, and used for every vending machine in the neighborhood, it's going to lose its value. But if you've got one in pristine shape, no deep scratches, no weird discoloration, no signs of wear and tear, it could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. That mint condition? That's where the magic happens. Also, remember the big rule in coin collecting. Condition is everything. So, no more throwing pennies into jars and letting them get all scratched up. If you do find one of these rare beauties, keep it safe. Like, locked in a treasure chest safe. Or at least in a protective case. Alright, I've got a funny story about my own personal experience with rare coins. A few years ago, I was on a road trip. Just me, the open road, and my trusty coffee cup filled with coins. You know the kind, right? The ones you throw in there when you get change from a gas station or the drive-thru. So, I'm driving along, and I stop to grab some snacks. I pay with the coins, and when I reach in, I see it. A 1943 steel penny. For a second, I froze. This coin is worth a decent amount, but I was distracted by the snack aisle, and in a moment of pure forgetfulness, I just tossed it back into the change jar. What if that penny was the one? Maybe not the $1.4 million one, but still a big chunk of change. Moral of the story? Don't let your rare coins get lost in the shuffle. They might not come back. Alright, so now you know everything you need to spot that elusive 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. And while I'm not saying you'll become an instant millionaire, there's definitely potential to cash in big time if you're lucky enough to find one. So, keep your eyes peeled, check your change, and maybe give that coin jar a good once-over. And hey, if you like this video and want more tips on finding coins that could make you rich, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't want to miss the next big coin discovery, because with coins, you never know what you'll find next. Until then, happy hunting, and may your pockets be full of lucky pennies. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more tips, tricks, and maybe even a few million-dollar coin finds. Did you know that a penny, yes, a single penny, can be worth over $1.5 million? Sounds like the stuff of legends, right? Well, it's true, and today, we're diving into the story of one particular penny that's caught the attention of collectors worldwide, the 2000 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Now, I know what you're thinking. A penny? How can a penny possibly be worth that much? Well, hold on to your change purses because this is a story that's going to make you rethink the value of every coin you have lying around. Alright, let's break this down. If you're like most people, you probably don't give your pennies much thought. I mean, who needs them, right? They're small, copper-colored, and, honestly, we probably just toss them in a jar. Or worse, they end up in the bottom of our car seats, never to be seen again. The 2000 no-mint mark Lincoln penny isn't your average penny. In fact, it's one of the rarest and most valuable coins out there, and it's probably been sitting in your pocket or your coin jar this whole time without you even knowing. Let me tell you how this happened. Every year, the U.S. Mint places a little mark on most of the coins they make to indicate where they were minted, the famous D for Denver, S for San Francisco, or no mark at all for Philadelphia. But, in 2000, a few Lincoln pennies were struck without the mint mark, And that's when the magic happened. It's not like they just forgot to put the mint mark on these coins. No, it was more like a happy accident. This tiny oversight made those coins incredibly rare, and when collectors caught wind of this, the value skyrocketed. Some of these 2000 no-mint mark pennies have been sold for over $1.50 million now. I know what you're thinking. If this penny is so valuable, why haven't I heard about it before? Well, part of the problem is that they're so rare, and unless you know exactly what you're looking for, you could easily miss it. The mint mark was left off for pennies that came out of the Philadelphia Mint in 2000, and only a very small number of these coins were made. Talk about luck. So, how do you know if you have one of these bad boys sitting around in your collection? First off, look for the year 2000 and check for a mint mark. If you find no mint mark, boom. You could be holding on to a small fortune. But there's a catch. Just because it's missing a mint mark doesn't mean it's worth $1 million. The coin has to be in pristine condition to fetch that kind of money. The cleaner and sharper the penny, the higher its value. And this brings me to a little personal story. A few years ago, I was at a garage sale. Don't knock it till you try it. Folks, you never know what treasures you'll find. And I picked up a jar of pennies for about $1. It was the kind of jar you find lying around, dusty and filled with loose change, and I didn't think much of it. But I did what any collector would do. I sorted through it, just out of habit. And wouldn't you know it, there was a 2000 penny with no mint mark. My heart skipped a beat. I couldn't believe it. I had found one. Of course, I wasn't holding my breath on it being worth millions, but I immediately started checking the condition. Mine wasn't perfect, there was a bit of wear, but it was still worth quite a bit more than that dollar I spent. You don't always need a perfect coin to make some good money. Even with wear and tear, these coins can be worth a few $100, and with the right care, who knows what could happen. So, take the time to go through your pennies, and I bet you'll be surprised at what you might find. Now, let's talk about the market for these coins. As word spreads and more people learn about the 2000 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, the demand is increasing. Collectors from all over are looking for these rare finds, and if you happen to have one, you're sitting on a gold mine. Well, copper, but still, a gold mine in its own way. What does this mean for you as a collector or someone just getting started? Pay attention to the details. It's easy to overlook things like a missing mint mark, but it can make a huge difference in the value of a coin. Be sure to check for that mint mark on your pennies from 2000, and also keep an eye on your coins in general. You never know when you might come across a rare find. Alright, folks, we've covered a lot today. From the 2000 no-mint mark Lincoln penny to why it's worth so much, and even a little story about my own lucky penny find. So, what's the takeaway here? Don't underestimate the value of your pennies. If you've got any old coins lying around, it might be worth taking a second look. Who knows? You could have a fortune on your hands just waiting to be discovered if you're serious about coin collecting, or just love hearing about the hidden treasures that are out there. Be sure to hit subscribe. I'll be dropping more tips, tricks, and stories about coins worth money, and who knows, you might just find your next big score. So, subscribe and hit that notification bell, and I'll see you next time with even more coin collecting wisdom.